Hello everyone and welcome to Moondog.tv. I'm Steve Arneal and I'm the author of In the Name of the Moondog. What is the story about? Well, it's a true story about my entire life and some strange spiritual experiences that happened. Basically, my best friend, Bob Hansen, who I'd hung out with since the age of 14, 12 years ago, passed away from a drug overdose. And he came back from the dead in a spiritual experience, and he asked me to write this story. So I did. I didn't want to do it a lot of times. I really didn't want to write this book, but when it came down to it, it just was something that I had to accomplish for my life to move on. It's about addiction and faith. It's not about war stories, although there are some in it, I guess, but I really try to stay away from that. What is addiction? A lot of people, general public, will think that addiction is about drugs and alcohol, which really isn't the direct case. Addiction and alcohol and drugs are a symptom of addiction. It's a part of you that acts out. Everyone has an addictive core. I have an extreme addictive core. Just because I put down drugs and alcohol does not mean that I don't have addictive behavior. I can get addicted to work, chocolate bars, food, whatever, working out, anything. It's the addictive core. Just when you put drugs and alcohol into that addictive core, especially for me, you're just asking for trouble. What are the effects of addiction on my life? Devastated my life. Just never seemed to be able to keep life together, for short periods of time, and then eventually always leading back to drug addiction. Because I just wasn't dealing with my issues, and it affected every single person in my life. It's been torture for all my family, and especially my kids, my friends, problems at work. And today I'm just trying to stay focused on getting up each day and not repeating that cycle again. How long have I been clean for? Well, in the first book, I exposed myself so much that right now I'm working a lot on myself, and I want to do a lot of personal growth. So I really want to save that for my second book that I've already started writing, and get into more of that process. What would I like to see come out of this book? I would like to see people read it and understand more about addiction, and not stereotype it that it's just about drugs or the person that's living on the street or somebody who's down and out. It's a lot deeper than that, and I'd just like a more understanding. And have society understand that when somebody is really messed up on drugs, and I've been there, when you're in the state of just wanting to do drugs on a daily basis, you are in a state of medical need, because your conscience is telling you that you shouldn't be doing this, but the madman is so big. You got an 800-pound gorilla at the wheel, and that's taken over, and it's got you. So I'd like to just see, the more understanding in society about addiction and the effects that it has on all of us, right? And directly or indirectly, it affects every single person in some way. What would I say to kids about drugs? Well, I wish I could tell you to never touch booze or drugs or anything, but the chances of that happening probably won't, because I did it, so why aren't you going to do it? And everybody goes through it. I think there's very rare cases where somebody goes through their life without touching any kind of substance, but generally, you're going to experiment. I mean, you're at that age where, you got your freedom, you got your friends, and, you've got things you want to get away from and live the life that is portrayed in media today about, partying and having a good time. And that's all great and fine. Nothing wrong with that. But somebody that has an addictive personality, like I do, it's not something that's going to happen overnight. It's gonna take some time. You're gonna find a point in your life that you will crash down around you, or you might die. And if you make it to the point where everything's crashed down around you, just remember one thing: no one's going to fix you. You're not going to make an appointment and go see a doctor, and he's going to say, "Here's a pill," or "Here's a prescription," or "Here's this," and you're cured. That's not going to happen. Okay? You're going to be in a very hurting state. You're not going to feel like taking care of business, but you got a lot of business to take care of, because you don't just make a phone call and end up in rehab. You might make a phone call, and 2 weeks from now, you're going to have an intake appointment. And then after the intake appointment, you're going to have to jump through some other hoop appointment. And when you're in a state like that, planning 2 and 3 weeks ahead of your life is impossible. And then even when you get to treatment, they're not going to fix you. You are going to have to fix you. That's all that you're going to be able to rely on. Is this a war on drugs? No. As long as there's money, power, and greed, there will always be a drug trade. All I'm saying is, if we as a community or society, if we pay a little more or a lot more attention to this issue, that when somebody picks up the phone and they make that call, that somebody's there in 2 minutes and the process can start now. Because if you make a call and you got an intake appointment 2 weeks from now, you're not going to be in the same state of mind. So if somebody's there right away and you can start this process, the chances of somebody getting on the right path is going to be a greater success. I'm just saying that my goal is if we can make enough money to so that when somebody makes that call and they've had enough, there's someone there to help, and it's an immediate medical attention. A lot of people ask me, are you an addiction guru now that you've wrote a book? No. I am really in the infancy stages of trying to figure out how to recover on drugs and alcohol. I just happen to be a guy that wrote a book about addiction. Nowhere in my writing did I say, I have a cure or an answer or what to do. It was just my story, right? Who knows? Maybe the path that's coming up, I'll find the answer. But right now, I struggle like anybody else on a daily basis.